Hello everyone. So the case that I will be covering today and talking about is one that involves a human rights violation which resulted in the second highest amount of damages ever awarded by the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario, and it involves a supervisor which worked for a group home sexually harassing one of his employees. So let's get started. The first question that we have today is, what did the employer do wrong in this situation? So the employer in this case is Allen Stewart Group Homes, and Allen Stewart Group Homes was not aware of the action being committed by their appointed supervisor, in this case Jeffrey Botuick, one of their employees, the one that was sexually harassed, and her name is not disclosed, but in this case we call her NK. This organization allowed Jeffrey Botuick to exploit his position of power, where he handles scheduling shifts, to harass and assault one of their own employees. Also, as determined by workplace harassment in Ontario, the organization did not have the support or policies in place where NK could go, which resulted in her emotional and financial distress. And as a result, she was forced into this non-consensual relationship out of fear of losing her job. So the employer, Allen Stewart Group Homes, failed to protect their employees' rights, and NK paid the ultimate price for it. Now moving on to question number 2. What law did the employer violate? And if the employer violated a statute, name the statute. So in this case, the employer violated a law. So the employer and supervisor violated the law in rights of NK under the Human Rights Code under RSO 1990, Chapter H.19. And this is stated in my sources. It states that every person who is an employee has a right to freedom from harassment in the workplace by the employer or agent of the employer, or by another employee because of race, ancestry, place of origin, color, ethnic origin, citizenship, creed, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, record of offenses, marital status, family status, or disability. And as I have stated, I have provided my source link to that reference in the Word document. So that is the law that the employer violated and the supervisor also violated. Now moving on to number 3. What should the employer have done in this situation to comply with the law? So, to comply with the Ontario Human Rights Code, Allen Stewart Group Homes could have followed the necessary guidelines put out to prevent workplace harassment. Firstly, in contracts, they could have implemented and enforced these policies that prevent workplace and sexual harassment. This would have made it clear to employees and supervisors that it will not be tolerated and that there would be consequences for these actions. Secondly, during training, the employer could have a session on workplace harassment to ensure all employees are aware of these circumstances. Lastly, the employer should have had a safe procedure in place, such as HR in an HR department for reporting this type of behavior, so that they could have responded promptly and stopped it before any harassment took place. This could have easily been prevented with the necessary guidelines outlined. Now moving on to the last question. What legal remedies are available to the employee in this situation? So in this case, as it resulted in NK being awarded $170,000 for injury to her dignity, feelings, and self-respect as determined by the Human Rights Tribunal in court, that was a legal remedy for the employee in this case. But NK could have also asked for the workplace to make policy changes so that in the future other employees are not put into the same position that she was. That is all for today, and thanks for listening.